Hey folks, and welcome back to Napoleon Total War. So, I've just sort of finished midterms, and with that kind of said, it's been quite a long time since I've really played any of these games. But getting back here, I finished up some stuff for Napoleon or Rome Total War, and for now, apparently we were doing some trading for spices here. So that's that, where we went to the Algiers for that. We can go to Annaba and Tunis. So today, what I think we'll do is that, the camera was starting, the camera starts over there, so, I think we were doing trading, but now, I see that Napoleon has an army in Dresden, Saxony, so that's one thing. There's apparently an army in Bohemia too, but what we want to do right now is, to find where our armies are, and, what we want to do with them. Oh, and I think we're fighting Prussia now, so that'll be kind of fun. There we go. We find Michael Ney over here sieging the regional capital of Silesia, so Breslau. So that's that. Nicholas Devout here also leads a troop, and it looks like he's going back to Paris, and I remember that. Let's get him to Turbo back, and it looks like we were building some dragoons there. Well, that's fine, and I'll queue up a few French conscripts, but I think it's time to take Michael Ney, or Michel Ney, and drive him into the Prussians, because I do vaguely remember saying that we were going to fight this battle, so let's do it though. Yeah, so it has been, it's been quite a long time since I've done some videos, and today I didn't really get off to a good start. I was looking at some magazine or some online article about Battlefield 4, and I thought I'd buy it, seeing as how it mentioned it, or at least when I bought it, I thought it said that you would be able to buy the base game for $40. So I tried that, right, and apparently I bought the fucking expansion. We're not the expansion, but the premium pack, so now I have to fucking buy the actual game. So yeah, that was pretty fucking frustrating. I still haven't bought the actual game. My logic behind it was that I'd only play it for like a week before I'd have to do a let's play of whatever new strategy game comes out, so yeah, that's that. But anyhow, we have a battle to fight today, and I think we're fighting against von Blücher, which is the Prussian general of this time. I'll talk a little bit more about him as soon as we get onto the field. Is this him? I can't actually tell now. I think, yeah, it doesn't name off the generals. Like, is this one Michel Ney? Yeah, it is Michel Ney. But anyhow, I guess we're fighting, well, it was a 5-star general on the campaign map, so maybe it is von Blücher. Maybe they just have multiple generals there. But anyhow, we are supposed to attack here, so let us assemble our guys. Looks like we have a wide variety of different linesmen today. We have the Fusiliers of the line again, but we also have these guys, the regiments and Trangiers. Not really sure how different these guys are. Do they have a different description? Yes, they do. Let's see what they are. So they are apparently line regiments or line battalions, and they apparently make up the majority of most armies. Doesn't really say much about these guys, only the fact that they exist and that they march in armies. So with that said, I think we'll depend on the Colonial Attic guys for the most part. I think these guys are meant to represent, yeah, just colonial troops in general. So with that said, these are, I would imagine that, just going off the name, that these guys aren't particularly highly trained troops, but they are, but they're good simply because they have a large amount of troops, and they're typically tougher than regular French guys. And that's just simply represented by their stats. Let's check out one colonial group compared to one Fusiliers of the line of the same quality. So yeah, slightly lower on the shooting, I think. 32 accuracy, 25 accuracy, less reloading, less ammunition. But these guys, the colony guys, are better at melee. So that's that. Just recorded Napoleon or Rome Total War, so I'm used to the movements of our troops being faster, but that's alright. And he just has a mass blob of guys that we just plan on throwing into the fight. So these guys will slowly move around and they'll do their own thing. And as they do that, that's alright. We'll get them to line up and fight the Prussians in just a little bit. Now, if this is von Blücher, that would be rather interesting. Von Blücher was for intents and purposes the front man of the Prussians. He was an odd character in that he was an old cavalryman, so he was, you know, high nobility or stuff and such like that. But the interesting thing about him was that von Blücher, he had this problem where he would have hallucinations, and they weren't like I don't know if he had schizophrenia or something like that, but he would have these odd hallucinations. I mean, he would think that he was like a hippo at times, and that he was pregnant with a elephant, despite the fact that well he's a man for the start. But yeah, there's a lot of odd things recorded in history about him. Now where those came from, I'm not too sure, but yeah, there are some claims about him. So that's that. He's really good Prussian commander though, so you know he kind of makes up for it. But when he has his little you know, spazzes, you typically didn't want to be in the room. What is the AI doing? It's rearranging its army, but it's moving it so that like it's restructuring one flank to the other side of the map and doing the same thing there. So that's kind of odd. Let's see whether or not we can turn them around here somehow. Yeah, we'll just get our guys to march up here and assemble onto these little hills, I suppose. What do the Prussians have nowadays? They apparently have armed citizenry, some musketeers garrison, and a lot of other stuff like that. That's kind of odd. You know, I recall the Prussian troops, these guys are. I recall them being, called Fusiliers. I don't recall them being musketeers though, which is odd. Anyhow, I know that the Russians have musketeers, the Austrians have Fusiliers, and for intents and purposes, I mean, they're the same thing. But yeah, I never noticed that before. We'll get these guys to move up on our flank here, and we'll just try to smash up these guys however we want. One thing about the French tactics during this time period, they actually didn't do these huge rows very often. They actually preferred columns for their assault or their attacks. And it like in the game, it makes more sense, or more climatic sense, to bring your guns up as rows of men. But in actual battle, it makes a lot of sense to actually march these guys up in a column, then either deploy into a line or just charge the enemy. Seeing as how when you're inside a column, it reduces the chances of getting hit, or the guys in the back getting hit, by quite a lot. But the problem with that tactic is that it actually made it so that it would be very, very easy to take out a lot of people with cannons. So that's actually one of the reasons why cannon batteries were so lethal, was because people would be marching these columns, and if you hit one man, you would presumably hit like 7 or 8 at the very least. Well, let's see, they're still congregating. Yeah, they're still shifting their lines back and forth, which is kind of odd. Alright, well in that case, I mean, I have our guys set up here so that we have a few of the Fusiliers over here, and then we have the colony troops over here on the side. So with that said, let's get the Fusiliers to move forward. They'll do the shooting, the colony guys will do the brawling, I suppose. And there we go. Not really sure if these trees block anything again. I think I've already said this multiple times, but just to be sure. Yeah, let them charge their lancers at us. They'll hopefully break upon our guns. Yeah, again, cavalry in this time period, I mean, like to me, and to some schools of military thought, they're more useful as skirmishers in that they keep enemy patrols off of us, and they keep the enemy from knowing what our troops are actually doing, as opposed to just charging in battle like this, where they just kind of get slaughtered. Yeah, in that movie that I was talking about earlier, what was it called? Like Wellington? No, it wasn't Wellington's lines. It was the Battle of Waterloo. There's one part in the movie which, like, you know, no spoilers or anything, but the Napoleon charges his Wellington, which is the British guy, the British general, with his cavalry. And what happens is that the minute that they go over this little hill, you see all of these like redcoats assembled inside these little square formations, and then the cavalry just gets chewed up, simply because they just can't charge into anything at that point. And yeah, that kind of highlights the weakness of those guys. Now here, these troops can deploy. We'll try to just push forward here. Really rather disorganized in this battle. Sorry guys, I'm just, you know what? I just paid $40 for something that I can't even fucking use right now. But anyhow, that's that. Let's see. These guys are reloading. All right, that's good. They're still moving their lines back and forth, so the Prussians are still trying to assemble. What I think I'll do is that I see this hill, and I know that our guys can't shoot from here very easily, so I'll get the troops to run up to the hills and use them to fight. If I can get our guy... Oh, this is armed citizenry. Our cavalry should be able to deal with these guys by themselves. This, I believe, is Lancer Cav, which is Napoleon's sort of favorite type of cav. And they're pretty good due to their charging ability. But they'll need infantry to support them, which we do have. It's just that when we want to commit those infantry units is my question. We want to build up reserves on our flanks, so we'll do that. Enemy tries to charge us with cavalry again. And yeah, if our guys are assembled in these lines, one battalion or one regiment will have to brawl it out with the cavalry, but the other ones can just shoot, right? So that's that. Uh-oh, the colonial guys are starting to shoot. That's not very good. What's happening here? Prussian artillery is starting to make an appearance. The Prussians at this time had one particular region or one particular factory group that was really rather good at making cannons. It wasn't Krupp. It wasn't Koch either. They made a tank in World War II. I know that, really small light tank, and it was presented in Company of Heroes. Anyhow, yeah, there's one cannon foundry that the Prussians had, which was really famous. Though apparently not famous enough for me to remember the names. These guys have to run, these guys have to run. And the Prussians are already breaking here. That's good. That's what I like to see. And their general unit's actually getting picked off, so as soon as we see the death message, we may be able to figure out whether or not that is von Blücher or not. So yeah, their flanks are starting to collapse, and what is the AI doing? It's just moving its troops back and forth in this little slaughter field that we have presented to them. So you have some Landwehr. The soldiers back in the day were in German would be Lancer, like exactly how it's spelled and said. And yeah, that would be the word for soldier. And these guys are Landwehr, so land defense. The Wehrmacht was the defense force. Yeah, just a mob of Prussian dudes just doing absolutely nothing, apparently. Alright, that's fine. We'll try to move up here. I wonder when we'll start to meet Karl von Clausewitz on the battlefield. That'll be very interesting. And then I can talk a little bit about what he did in his lifetime, which is quite a lot. Now, what I can do here is that I want to shift a lot of these colonial Attic guys around the flank. So as we do that, we'll be able to rotate them around and hopefully hit them from the behind. Yeah, their troops are just panicking, and this is just a mess of Landwehr and Lancers and some Musketeers. The Prussian army here is in reality was one of the better troop quality ones inside the Allied lines. Yeah, the Prussians will have really rather high demands for their troops, but in this situation, not really. And their troops are just routing like nothing. But then again, it is mainly like the peasantry, the Landwehr that are routing. There we go. So the French regiment, or Colonie de Attic, are just really pressing forward here. And just fire and maneuver here, so all I'm doing is really just firing off a few volleys and then pressing our troops forward. And then we can kind of trap off the enemy like such and, well, begin to destroy them. And from here we can send in our cav to grab our cav here. Doesn't seem to want to respond, but from here I can get our cavalry to hopefully swath through the village here and get rid of some of these guys running around. There we go. I just don't want the cav to be to get latched onto any infantry troops that aren't routed, because then it'll start a brawl, which I don't want. There we go. So yeah, our lancers here will start to try to pick off some of these garrison musketeers, and it'll just try to cut them down. Really anticlimactic battle though. I mean, these Prussians are barely putting up any of the fight. Yeah, well, seeing as how their lines are breaking, we could I'll get our guys to do a general march forward, so they'll just try to advance wherever they can, and they won't bother with trying to rout the enemy too much, or trying to fire too much, I should say. There we go. And just a mass of the Prussians are just running here. No competition. That's going to be brutal. That's going to be definitely 100 losses for the Prussians right there. Going to need some of our guys to keep up the pace with the
glorious
Prussian troops.
Victory, sir, is soon to be yours.
Like, if I can get all of their troops to shatter right now, then we will just automatically win the battle, which is going to be so nice if we can break this little Napoleonic square. And von Blücher's his horses over here. There we go. The general staff is broken, so all we need to do is get rid of that one. And it looks like one troop over here has actually reformed, so we do need to get rid of that one too. This is actually a really easy battle. There we go. And what is over here? Armed citizenry. Yeah, the armed citizenry would actually fight pretty hard, despite the fact that they don't really have any training. More or less because this is their livelihood, this is their, bread and butter that we're messing with. These guys are really running slowly. There we go, come on, break these guys. Really need to break these guys.